I'll be the speaker at the Nanaimo campus of Vancouver Island's University Elder College in their Saturday series at 10 a.m. on November 7th. To promote this event, Gregor Craigie of CBC Radio 1 interviewed me.
For Nanaimo resident Giselle Roeder, the Nazis and the Communists were two sides of the same coin. She grew up as a child in Germany under the Hitler regime, but her life after World War II was equally harsh because she lived in the part of Germany controlled by the Communists under Russian domination. She documented those experiences a few years ago in a book called We Don't Talk About That, an amazing story of survival, and she'll bring those written stories to life in a couple of weeks when she gives a public lecture at Nanaimo's Vancouver Island University. But she's joined us this morning for a bit of a preview. Giselle Roeder, good morning.
Hello to you.
And I'm glad to talk to you. Now, the title of your book is intriguing. What are the stories you couldn't talk about?
I had a totally different working title, and I was in a memoir writing group. Then this one lady said, "How could you write about all that?" And I said, "You have a German accent. You're from Germany too?" And she said, "I grew up here. I came over when I was a very small child. But my parents, we never talked about that." And there the title was born.
And was that...
And we didn't either. I got that answer from all my aunts who had been raped by the Russians, and I wanted to know more. And everybody said, "Are you crazy? We don't talk about that."
Can you understand why? Not to justify it, but do you understand their attitude of not wanting to talk about it?
Naturally. They were ashamed that they had been raped. And every lady or woman thinks it's her fault. But this was wholesale rape.
It was systematic.
Stalin had ordered it.
He had ordered this,
yes,
had he?
He had ordered it to subdue the Germans and get their pride down, right? Once they entered Germany. We learned to shut up and keep our mouths shut during the Hitler time, if you were not for it. And we learned that even more so during the communist time, people were not talking to each other because you didn't know who was a Stasi, who was an informer.
Of course.
So you never talked about these things.
Now, how did you get enough people to talk about it to write your book in the first place, or did you simply focus on your own experience?
It's simply my own experience. It's my life, which stands for hundreds of thousands of others who have gone through the same thing. The people were all evicted when the war was over. And we were all on the road to nowhere. Us, the Germans, were pushed back by the Russians through Poland and then Germany and ended up in our area. And then in May, when the war was over, we were all evicted because Russia had given this part of Germany to Poland. And then we were 3 weeks alongside the Russians with I don't know how many thousands and thousands of people on their way to Berlin because all the Russian army tried to end up in Berlin. And so it was an awful time. And when I see the Turks and helping these poor people from Syria, I have a taste of that. I can see and feel what they are thinking and what they are feeling. And but so my life and what led to my escape from East Germany, to get back to the topic, was those 10 years in East Germany, constantly pressured to join the Communist Party. But then I got involved in sports. I was a kayaker, competitions. And as such, I had to be a member of the Free Youth, but I did not participate anymore in any of their activities. So this is quite a story. And now in East Germany in 1955, when I had succeeded becoming a phys ed teacher, I was warned by my principal in the school that hired me, you have to become, how can you teach your young people to become good citizens of the Democratic Republic and the Russian brothers and friends if you are not a member of the party? and he warned me, and he said he needs to speak to me, but I should come to his house because he can't do it in the school. And he said to me if I would start sleeping with him, then he could protect me and my parents from, being taken in. And I was just so shocked that I just jumped up from the chair. I had taken one close to the door and ran out, and he ran after me and said, "It's your only chance," but he didn't follow me. And I just biked home, sat in the bee house waiting for my father. He was a beekeeper, and I told him the story, and he told me, "Get lost." And everybody knew what that meant. Try to get to West Germany. But Father warned me not to say anything because my mother would never be able to lie, because the police would definitely come the next day and ask where, I am if I don't turn up for the job. And so I could never even say goodbye. And my father walked me for a little bit until I biked off into the dark. And the next morning, 5:45, I took the train to Berlin. It stopped outside of Berlin in a place called Bernau. And there the police would check us. And some were allowed to go on, some others were sent back. And the train, which was called the S-Bahn, equivalent to the SkyTrain in Vancouver, came, and doors opened and closed automatically. And when the last car rolled by, I started running. The Berliners knew what was happening, and they held the door open, and another pulled me in. And everybody thought the train would be stopped, but it wasn't. They took my coat off, they kept my coat, and another one brought me through the train to another car, and one man jumped up. He had a newspaper, and he pushed me into his seat and gave me the newspaper and said, "Hi, read. And the next station, when it stopped, it was West Berlin.
And that was your escape.
And that was very, very risky.
And Giselle, the story of your escape and running like that and making a new life for yourself is very compelling. And I think people in the West during the Cold War were so interested and compelled by this. I wonder if the first part, the things that, as you said, we don't talk about, the rape of so many women under Soviet occupation and so on. Did any of that have to do with the history of the war and people's views of the German aggression or the Nazism or the way Germans felt about that afterwards? I mean, was part of it just not wanting to talk because not thinking you would receive a sympathetic ear, that sort of thing?
I think it was mainly shame. Because if you had, and there are apparently about 3 million Russian rape babies born. Now, which woman would want to talk about that?
Yeah.
And my two youngest aunts, one was only 10 years older than I, so she was 21. Actually, she was 19 when she was in East Prussia in service. She was raped, she told me, 5 times, and that was about 2 weeks before she died. But this not talking about this, if you meet any older than, I would say, 80, German woman who has lived in East Germany, not just East Germany, but in the part that is now Poland, East Prussia or Pomerania or Silesia, if you ask her about those rapes, or if she was raped, she will stare at you and say, "We don't talk about that."
Giselle, it's good to get a very small taste of this from you. We only have a short time compared to your time for the lecture at Vancouver Island University, but it's good of you to join us for a preview. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can get something out of all this.
I've been speaking with Nanaimo resident Giselle Roeder. On Saturday, November the 7th, she'll be speaking more on this topic at Vancouver Island University. Her talk is called Escape from Germany After World War II. For more information, you can go online to VIU.ca, and you'll see Giselle Roeder's talk mentioned on the lower left side of the page.